Dun 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 dun. Nice solo, Jen. Hello, welcome everybody to the Totally Tubular Podcast, day 2.5 of San Diego's Comic Con.
2013.
My name is Tim Surratt.
And I'm Jen Trolio.
And it's day 2. It's Friday night.
We're still alive.
We're still alive. We're at Comic Con San Diego, and today's the day that things really start picking up.
It's true. Today was a busy day.
Today was a busy day, but it was a fun day.
It was. It's true.
It was a fun day. I don't think we should waste any time. I think we should talk about what we did today. And I think you had one of the most exciting assignments of the day.
That's right. I went to the Game of Thrones panel today.
That's how I hear it.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That's right. I went to the Game of Thrones panel today. My write-up is posted right now, if you would like to read it. And
all right, cool. We don't have to talk about it.
It's true. We don't have to talk about it at all. I almost missed it because I messed up the start time by accident.
Don't tell them that.
Honesty is a virtue. But I made it. I made it in time. I got into Hall H, and I saw all of it except for the little tiny intro part. It was great.
This was a hot ticket.
It was a hot ticket. It actually made me... I think I am a little bit unaware of how hot a ticket was because I had the privilege of a pass.
Yes.
But people were lined up for Hall H this morning, at 6, 7...
People were lined up for
early
at 10 p.m. last night.
Early. Well,
when we walked by.
Right. But there was other stuff in Hall H worth seeing today as well. Like the Veronica Mars panel was in Hall H early this morning, for example.
It was a murderer's row of panels.
Yeah, Hall H was busy today. But yeah, so I went to the Game of Thrones panel. It was a big panel, too. There were, in addition to the fact that it was in a packed Hall H, there were a lot of cast members there, dead and alive. All of them were alive.
Spoiler alerts, by the way, for anyone who hasn't
spoiler alerts
caught up.
now. Once I start saying names, some of those people will not be returning to the show in season 4.
Don't say who's alive or who's dead, but just give us an idea of who was there.
So let's see. So both showrunners, D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, were there. As was A Song of Ice and Fire author George R.R. Martin. And then from the cast, I'll get this all out of order. Catelyn Stark, played by Michelle Fairley. I guess I should go real names first. Kit Harington, who plays Jon Snow. Richard Madden, who plays Robb Stark. So that rounds out the Starks and their bastard children, I think. Peter Dinklage was there. He was a highlight, who plays Tyrion Lannister. John Bradley, who plays Samwell Tarly. Rose Leslie, who plays Ygritte.
Oh, my girl.
Oh, Tim's in Lerv. Actually, speaking of Tim being in Lerv, I would like to just give a quick shout out to the person who commented on last night's podcast about how many times is Tim gonna announce that Josh Holloway is handsome.
As many times as it takes.
But yes, Ygritte was there. Emilia Clarke in her brunette out of Game of Thrones off-season, brunette state. Was that it? That might be it. It was a big panel.
No Jaime Lannister this year, right?
There was no... he was originally billed to be there, and then he was not.
That's too bad. I hope everyone is really...
Nikolai Coster-Waldau was not there.
Hope he's really becoming everyone's favorite character, because Jaime Lannister is awesome.
Yeah, he was not there, but it was a good panel. It was very... we've talked about how Comic-Con is, in a lot of ways, poorly timed for a lot of things. It's not particularly well placed in the calendar for new stuff because, we know what shows are premiering in the fall, but in a lot of cases you talk to the cast and they filmed a pilot 6 months ago, but they didn't necessarily see the episode 2 script yet.
Right.
It's the case with a lot of the new shows. In the case of Game of Thrones, we just ended. Like, the season ended last month.
Yeah.
It feels like longer than that to me, but it ended last month.
Yeah, it's like the after party.
The Red Wedding was last month. It was like June 2nd or
Wedding.
something like that. Yeah.
Seems like we were just there.
I know.
Just wiping the tears from our eyes.
I know. So, I
From
mean, all
happiness,
that's
the Lannisters send their regards.
Oh, jerks. Yeah, so the season just ended, and so there wasn't much news this year. Now is when none of our predictions came through. There was actually no new news at the Game of
Don't say
Thrones.
our predictions, say your predictions.
Okay, my predictions. I was going off last year's panel. Last year they made casting
such a jerk.
announcements. Yeah, asshole. They last year they announced a premiere date. So I guess they
had casting, yeah.
and
Casting.
they had a casting reel to show
Right.
in that some of the new character announcements had already been made prior to Comic-Con, and we got the first glimpse of those people.
Mm-hmm.
And then they announced a few more. None of that happened this year. Basically, there was nothing really new to report. It was more of a kind of a season, hindsight, dissection, talk about season 3 had like a million major events.
Yeah.
So, so there was still plenty of material to talk about. It was.
You were saying it was kind of academic.
I thought so. Yeah. So the moderator was. I hope I don't get his name wrong now. Elvis Mitchell, I think. And he's a film critic and a scholar in general. And yeah, I thought it was a very intelligent discussion. He led people in various topical tangents. Spent a lot of time on the Red Wedding, talking about how different people, different cast members like chose to play that or prepared for it or how it affected them afterward. But we also, I say we as if I was part of the discussion, we also talked about Samwell Tarly and his kind of arc. At one point, John Bradley, who plays Samwell Tarly, kind of suggested that, like, Samwell's totally a dude. He just needs to get out of his head. He needs to get out of his own brain and stop worrying about his learnings. And that was kind of a nice moment. But yeah, it was a great panel. It was just a really nice, intelligent discussion of a great show.
Real quickly, what were the fans like?
The fans were super enthusiastic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I didn't see anything out of the ordinary, but everybody was super excited to be there. There wasn't a lot of time for fan questions at the end, so that I didn't get a good sense of fans from the kind of open forums situation. Lots of costumes, but lots of cheering. There was, there weren't a lot of particularly surprising things, but there were some funny quotes, and there was one moment where and I like had no idea what was going on when this first happened, but it was like all of a sudden like someone ran out on the stage and kissed Emilia Clarke on the mouth.
And
it was Jason Momoa who played Khal Drogo in season 1, and he kissed her, he screamed, "I'm not dead yet," and then he ran back off the stage. And it like took everybody by surprise, and that got a huge reaction from the crowd. The guy operating like the camera, the Jumbotron big screen camera operator guy, he didn't know it was coming because he like couldn't track the movement.
Yeah.
And I was like, who was that? And then as he was leaving the stage, Emilia Clarke was like, "My son and stars," and I was like, "Oh, that was totally Khal Drogo." So that was pretty cool. That was like the big, unscripted moment, so to speak. But yeah, it was mostly just kind of discussion of the season. Emilia Clarke, earned some congratulations for her Emmy nomination. And the big topics that were addressed were basically the Red Wedding and all of its facets and surroundings. Talked about Samwell a little bit, and then they also talked about there was a nice discussion of Jon Snow and Ygritte's like breakup, basically.
She's single now, fellas.
But she was, she put it very, she explained it very well. She's like, we were gonna be a team, and then And then, as she saw him riding away on that horse, she was basically like, F you, dude. And
Shoot some arrows at you.
She was like, I'm going to hunt you down and hurt you, was
Yeah.
the way that Rose Leslie put it. And,
Sounds like most of my relationships. Well, right before that, I believe, was the Walking Dead panel. Mm-hmm. Let's not forget about that show, which we were not able to attend due to scheduling conflicts and lines.
But you were in the press room.
But I went to the press room, so I got up close and personal.
So who was in the press room? Who did you see?
Well, it was new showrunner Scott Gimple, Robert Kirkman, the author of the comics, Gail Ann Hurd, the other executive producer.
I was going to say, she's an EP.
Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick Grimes. And I'm probably just going to go characters from here on out, just so I don't miss anyone. I'll do it when I can. Lauren Cohen, who's Maggie. Glenn Young, Glenn.
Is his name Steve?
Stephen Young.
Yes.
Young, thank you. Mm-hmm. Cuddy from The Wire, who is Tyrese.
Dr. Zoe Hart?
No, there was no
Was she
Dr. Zoe
there?
Hart. No Dr. Zoe Hart. Michonne. I'm blanking now. The governor.
So a good portion of the cast.
The entire cast was there.
Okay.
And
Herschel? Was Herschel there?
Herschel was there. Was there.
Did he have all of his limbs?
He had all of his limbs, and he had a nice looking beard, and he had his little hair in a little ponytail.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. And they couldn't really talk about a whole lot. Like, we basically,
it's back to that timing thing.
It's kind of that time. Well, no, this is different because they knew everything, but they couldn't talk about it.
Any of it?
They couldn't really talk about it. They could talk about general character directions, but almost every question they were looking at each other and they were saying, "Oh, can I talk about this? Can I talk about this?" And one of the big things that is on the horizon, and this was discussed at the panel, but I wasn't there, is that there is some sort of unseen or unknown new threat that apparently is not in the comic books.
Oh.
That and it's a threat that cannot be killed, cannot be reasoned with, but it's also apparently some sort of threat that could exist in our world.
So, what are the early? Is there early speculation for this? Like it's a different kind of epidemic that's not Walker disease. Like what is?
All the food gets poisoned, or water poisoning, or global warming. Gas prices. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's it sounds like it's something more external to the world that we're used to.
But realistic in that it could exist in our the world we live in as viewers.
So. I'm doing this from memory, but I'm pretty sure that's what they said.
Okay.
I believe they would call it a game changer. Yeah. Other highlights from what they talked about is, I guess, all the people from Woodbury moved into the prison, right, from the end of last season.
I feel like I've forgotten that fact, honestly.
Yeah, I know.
I really do. We'll talk about this trailer that we saw today.
I know, I forgot about it too.
And Tim and I just watched it together, and I was like, who are those people?
Yeah.
And Tim was like, oh, those are all the people.
I had a
Why?
slight excuse. I was on my honeymoon, but I did.
Oh, during the finale. That's right. You missed the finale.
Yeah. But I see it as a bunch of new people to kill, so I'm excited for that.
That's true. And likewise, I don't mean to backtrack to Game of Thrones, but seeing some folks on that panel who are not returning to the show, I was like, I definitely felt like I was like, trying to remind myself that they're not on the show anymore. They're here today, but we're not going to see them anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know nothing, Jen Trolio.
Hey.
That's what people would say to that. So back to Walking Dead.
I haven't read the books.
There's the governor apparently has a really good arc this year, dealing with his realizing how wrong he was and what that does to a person, and
like remorse,
and possibly guilt. Apparently, Carl has the best arc of the season.
How old is Carl now? 9?
Gosh, I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know.
I don't know either.
Gosh, I don't even know how old he was when it started.
Either way. He's a young kid.
Yeah, but they specifically
But he gets to
addressed-
have possibly the best arc.
They specifically address like there's a lot of Carl haters out there.
Sure.
And my friends who have read the comic books further on they're very much like Carl's one of the best characters. Like Carl's the best, best. He does some amazing things, and they wouldn't tell me, thank God. But I think it's going to start to happen.
Interesting.
And
okay.
yeah, I think that's what we've all been waiting for.
Did you actually talk to Scott Gimple at all?
Yeah.
What did people have to say on the new showrunner topic?
You know, I asked him specifically. I was like, "What were your goals in coming into this season? What do you want to take? What did you want to take from Frank, and what did you want to take from Glenn, the previous showrunners?" And he said he really liked the show as it was because he's been on the show for all 3 seasons, or this is his 3rd season. I forgot, but he
Wait, isn't that the same thing?
Well, this will be season 4.
Oh, going into season 4.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And he compared it to like the greatest hits. Like he wanted to keep the greatest hits going, and he wrote. Gimple wrote. He wrote last season's Clear, which was one of the best episodes.
We named that one of the best episodes of the season.
Yeah, he wrote Sophia coming out of the barn.
Oh.
And
okay. All
he
these things are
wrote
promising things.
Another really good episode. I forget. So hopefully it's in good hands.
Yeah.
He would not answer my question directly about tone, whether it was going to be more action or where he wanted to focus on characters. So I get the feeling that he's kind of doing both. We'll see. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But they also released the trailer and a premiere date, which is October 13th.
That's right.
And yesterday, if you listen to our podcast, we, just like predicting July would be hot, we said they would have a mid-October release date. We would see a trailer, and in the trailer, we would see zombies getting killed.
3 for 3.
And we would see Rick pointing a gun, and the last frame is Rick pointing a gun almost directly at the camera, which is a trademark of the show. But what did you think of the trailer?
3 for 3, 4 for 4. I thought it was pretty good. I definitely, I'm eager to see where things go. Yeah. Like I said, I had forgotten that people from Woodbury had moved into the prison.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit like, oh.
We watch a lot of TV, everyone. Like, TV goes in, and then some other TV pours out the other ear.
When did Walking Dead end? Like April, I guess? Like 10 years ago, basically?
April. Early April.
So I had forgotten about that. Let's see. What else? What did we see in this trailer? Let's do like the brief rundown of like what happens in the trailer.
What I saw a lot of was them stabbing zombies through a chain link fence.
That's true. So
a lot of that.
It seems
like too much of that.
It seems
we've seen that before. Do we have to see them stabbing people through a fence?
Yes. But I thought it actually like kind of conveyed like a change of some sort though, because it made it seem like that's their morning routine.
Like you
get up in the morning,
get the coffee.
You make your coffee, and then you go out, and somebody's on like eye stabbing patrol.
Yeah.
But it did scale wise. It seems like there's a lot more zombies gathering overnight every night than maybe there were, or maybe it's the same, and we just haven't seen that in the past. But the trailer made it seem like the scale had increased.
Yeah. Well,
somewhat.
I mean, they're not reproducing fast enough. I mean, the humans aren't reproducing fast
the non-zombie,
and
the
humans are dying a little sooner. I would like to know if anyone knows what the percentage of the population is left at this time in The Walking Dead. Please leave it in the comments.
Yeah.
I would guess it's like 10%.
There's one interesting. Oh gosh, I don't know. That might even be generous.
Yeah.
How much time has passed?
I don't know.
Do we know that much? Do we know that?
Well,
I don't even know that people from Woodbury moved into the prison, so I definitely don't know that right now. But we might. I can't recall at the moment if we know that.
Yeah.
There was an interesting part in the trailer where they're in the car and they hear something on the radio. That's intriguing.
Yeah. It's broken up something about saving or sanctuary. I forget what it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a hard time making it out. Maybe it's the new helicopter. Maybe it's...
It's probably Lori. Ghost Lori.
Ghost Lori in her white dress.
Ghost Lori at the DJ stage. Maybe it's DJ Phil from Under the Dome.
It could be.
Playing some face-melting psychedelic music. Or some of that dubstep that the kids like. I don't know. I thought the trailer was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a trailer.
It was good. I'm gonna watch the show either way.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a weird spot. We've already talked about this. I feel like I'm in a weird... We watch a lot of TV. We're here as fans, but we're also here to, like, cover stuff for work.
Yeah.
And I definitely am, looking at stuff very, like... Game of Thrones panel was actually awesome, but then I was like, oh, but they didn't announce anything.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead trailer was good. I'm gonna watch the show regardless. So,
right. Yeah. Yeah. Also,
let's hear what everybody else thinks. And then maybe I can help.
Totally.
I'll be looking at the comments. We'll see.
Totally. The other highlight of the day for me was I attended the Orphan Black panel, and that was the only actual panel
which
I
you
went
barely
to.
got into, but thank goodness you did.
And I went to as a fan, and I said, well, if I'm getting in as a fan, I'm going to sort of live blog it. So I live blogged it, and yeah, it was held in a small room, which really boggles my mind because right across the hall there was a room twice the size and they could have fit everyone in there, but I waited. I got there 2 hours early and I barely got in.
That's crazy. I mean, it's the sleeper hit of the year, right? It's pretty safe to say.
It's a surprise hit, I would call it. Yeah. And it was fun. Those Orphan Black fans are great. They are so passionate,
cool.
and they were really excited. And I think it's because it's
and
new.
next year they're going to be in like Ballroom 20 or something now.
Yeah.
So like you really you had the chance. Like
it's kind of like,
it was tough to get in, but you saw them before they were.
It's kind of like you went to see Coldplay in Hall H.
Yeah.
This is Game of Thrones.
It's true.
And I went to see, I don't know, one of those like goofy folk rock bands that I like to see in really small venues. In Orphan Black.
Tim's really cool, you guys. That's what he's trying to say.
It's totally true. So I mean, it was really good. It was really good. It was moderated by Dalton Ross from Entertainment Weekly, and he did a fantastic job. And they had some things to say about season 2. I don't think it's any surprise that there's going to be a couple more clones. I'm very, very excited about. And
they kind of narrowed down a premiere date.
They narrowed down a premiere date, April.
Gave you a month. That's
and I
something.
guess that is when did it premiere this year? It must have premiered around the same time. What month is it? I don't even know anymore. It's July, right?
Where are we?
Where are we? Yeah, it must have been in April.
I think it was like the mid season. It was the second wave of mid season, so March, April.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this and you haven't watched it, check it out on demand. You'll go through it.
Which I haven't, and Tim was very adamant about. This is a show that is good enough. The surprises are awesome enough that don't spoil
I would
it.
not
Just
let
watch
you go to
it.
the panel.
Just watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, it sells itself.
So,
I feel it's one of the shows that I feel absolutely confident recommending to anyone.
Which is awesome. So I will absolutely be watching it before next season. So.
But at the panel was Tatiana Maslany.
The people
Jordan,
were crazy for her.
Yeah. But people were crazy for everyone, and they showed a bunch of clips. Like, it was nicely broken up where they showed like the scenes, and then they would talk to the actor about their scenes and stuff. Okay. Jordan, who played Felix, was there. Dylan, who played Paul, Beth's boyfriend, and the two creators, Graham and John, were there. And I mean, it was good. It was like it was fairly informative, but also very good for the fans. Mm-hmm. They had this clip of like Felix's greatest hits, and he plays Sarah's brother, adopted or stepbrother, half-brother, adopted brother, stepbrother, foster brother. That's what it is, foster brother.
You got it.
And he's gay, and they played a greatest hits of his, and it was really fantastic. And then he sang and he talked about his butt. It was one of those kind of panels.
Then he sang and he talked about his butt, and it was awesome.
It was.
I can't wait to watch this show.
It was really good. My live blog's up live right now. Next, there was S.H.I.E.L.D. Marvel's Agents
today.
of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
yep.
which we will refer to just as S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, gosh.
Possibly without any periods.
Let's talk about how that is an annoying title to type.
It is the most annoying title to type of the season. Ugh. But, okay, so we didn't go. We couldn't get in. We couldn't get in.
They did screen the pilot at the panel. We know that.
They did screen the pilot. I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard good to mixed reviews. How about that?
Okay, I've heard decent. I've definitely heard good, I would say.
If you are a Whedonite, I'm sure you're going to hump your television.
I've heard good enough reviews that I'm excited to see the pilot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And that is one of the few pilots that ABC has not put out to critics yet. So actually, you know, kind of fans got to see it first. It was the premiere right here. So
it'll have that what smart dialogue.
Yeah. And we did have we had a writer in the press room, so we will have information about
that going up either tonight or tomorrow morning, probably.
Yes, absolutely. And then we still managed to do a bunch of other press rooms today between the two of us.
Yeah, you got suckered into going to the following press room.
It's true.
The following.
It was crowded in there, but Kevin Bacon was 10 feet away from me.
1 degree.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? There are no degrees of separation between me because I asked Kevin Bacon a question today, and then I recorded his response. It was a pretty full press room. I mean, there was a lot of press there, but let's see. From the cast, they had Kevin Bacon was there, James Purefoy was there.
Semi-spoiler.
Maybe. So.
But who? Come on! Didn't? It's one of those spoilers that's obviously...
Well, definitely. But what they have, because this is definitely, it's just another example in the long list at this point of poorly timed, Comic-Con things. And this actually, James Purefoy totally won me over with this, where he actually, said when he was sitting at our round table, this interview is kind of useless. Nobody knows anything.
Yeah.
I mean, and he just gets it. I was like, you get Comic-Con, man. Yeah. But he was great. He also has, a full beard at the moment. Did
he make a joke about Kevin Williamson wanting it?
No, I don't think that he was joking. He basically said that Kevin Williamson requested a beard, and then he went on to joke, because it's a long, bushy beard at this point, and he said, I'm just trying to give him as much of a canvas as he could possibly want. And my first reaction was so obviously you lived through the finale and you've been hiding in the woods, right? That's not, isn't that what definitely it has to...
That's a reasonable
That was
assumption.
my first thought. So apparently, what they said about season 2, one of the only things that anybody could really say about season 2 is that there's going to be a time jump of a year. So the season 2...
Another time jump?
Yeah, the season 2 premiere is basically going to pick up right where the finale left off, answer a bunch of questions, and then jump a year. At which point... And this is where they get, this is where it's easy for them to say, well, yeah, James Purefoy is still in the show, but we're also going to be using the flashbacks a lot. So they're going to jump a year, and then they're going to, show us where everybody is in the aftermath of the events of season 1. But yeah, so James Purefoy was there, Kevin Bacon was there.
What kind of guy is Kevin Bacon like?
He was at our table for 52 seconds.
Yeah.
We were the last table for him to visit. He was he seemed kind of hip and stylish looking.
Yeah.
Had his t-shirt and his blazer on.
Yeah.
But, we didn't have a lot of time to actually interact with him. I have some video of him talking about Ryan Hardy's character arc in season 2, and so I'll post that eventually. What they said was, so in addition to the time jump of the year, the one thing that I actually found really entertaining was that they're going to move away from the FBI in season 2. They are very purposely, they don't want to show the FBI being dumb, and they kind of defended that a little. Kevin Williamson defended that a little because they did throw in a couple of mentions of, it was always the conceit that the FBI is always a step behind. Nobody can catch this guy. And we can't catch...
Or his cult
whatever.
of internet
Minions.
Craigslist found serial killers.
Yeah. Well, when you put it like that. But they're going to move away from the FBI in season 2. Apparently, Ryan, is kind of out on his own. He's sober, and he wants nothing to do with the FBI. And so somehow they're going to focus on that. And, I have some more... I actually have some tape to transcribe and video to post as far as more details on that front. But, it was interesting.
So he doesn't want to be part of the FBI anymore.
He wants nothing to do with the FBI.
But he's still going to try and find
James
Carroll?
Well, number one, James Carroll is supposedly dead.
Died in a fire.
Died in a fire. Dental records proved it.
His beard grew so much it covered his mouth and suffocated him.
So yes, and then Ryan Hardy wants nothing to do with the FBI, and he's like out on his own. And then Weston, Mike Weston, is going to apparently they're going to have an arc together. Ryan Hardy and Mike Weston are going to have an arc together, kind of, because Weston is very, very affected by the death of Agent Parker.
So this is all news to me.
Spoiler alert. Toward the end of last season. And, well, it might have been in the finale, actually. It was one of the last 2 episodes, at the very least. And, but then Emma, the short-haired serial killer cult member.
Oh, she's
Emma,
cute.
yeah. Her real name is Valerie something. I don't know her last name off the top of my head, but we saw her today, too. And I'm not entirely clear how they're going to keep everybody in play. But when I asked Kevin Williamson about that, he made a point to say, at the end of last season, there were 8 known cult members, like, out there and alive and, possibly working in some sense. So, we'll see.
Cool.
The following, ladies and gentlemen.
The following.
The FBI will not be as dumb in season 2. But possibly only because they won't be around as much. So, we'll see. But...
I hit a couple other press rooms also. I went to Almost Human, which is the new Fox show from Fringe co-showrunner J.H. Wyman and produced by J.J. Abrams. Starring Carl Urban as a kind of grumpy guy who doesn't like technology.
And he's the human of the pairing.
He is the human, but he has a synthetic robot leg. And then Michael Ealy as his android cop partner who feels. He's got feelings.
Who, looking at the photos from today, Michael Ealy is really handsome.
You know what? I heard a lot of ladies talking about that.
He is really handsome.
He is. He was in the show called...
You can have your Josh Holloway. I think...
Michael Ealy.
Michael Ealy he looked good in those pictures.
You should, stare into his eyes. He's got these, crazy blue eyes.
You know who else did? The guy who plays Mike Weston on The Following. Super blue eyes.
Right.
Yeah, crazy.
But Michael Ealy is
White Walkers all over Comic-Con.
What is he?
Blue eyes.
He must be part African American, and he has these crazy blue eyes. That's awesome. But it works really well. It makes him look like a robot.
He is. He's good looking.
Yeah, and he used to be in a show called Sleeper Cell. You guys should watch Sleeper Cell.
Wasn't Michael Ealy also on Common Law?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a one and done, but still, that was that's who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
But Almost Human. I think I wrote a preview of the pilot, and it was slightly underwhelmed by it.
By the pilot,
but it was a bunch of setup. I like the premise of the show a lot, and that's kind of determining what makes a man, what makes a machine. The idea is that maybe even Michael Ealy's character, whose name is Dorian, might be more human than Kyle Urban's character.
Who's the actual human. But wait, he has a robot leg? Is that what you're saying?
He has a robot leg. He got it blown off.
Oh, okay. So he's...
But he hates these robots. These damn robot cops. But he has to have one. It's the law.
Out, damn robot leg.
Yeah. It's an interesting concept. I'm really looking forward to seeing the second episode because I just could not get a good take on the series from the first.
Okay.
But I think J.H. Wyman, he was really into that whole idea of the mytholone, which is like a part mythology, part
I mean, that was like the
standalone
big that was like a thing that Fringe kind of pioneered, right?
I mean, other people have done it. I mean,
it was a big
X-Files
part of
kinda
Fringe
did it,
at the very least.
but it was a huge part of Fringe, and he's gonna try and carry a lot of that over. But I almost got the sense that it might be a little more alone. Like, he was really adamant. He didn't want like a big bad character. He wanted it more about
to be more ambiguous. You mean?
No, he didn't want like one single villain. He didn't want like these big villains. He wanted it more to be about their lives as cops and against a crime-ridden city, so to speak. There's a group of bad guys called the Syndicate, but he didn't necessarily want like another David Robert Jones from like Fringe or whatever. After that, before that, I went to The 100, which is the CW mid-season show. that is not like a CW show, and this one is one of those shows that I'm very, very, very intrigued by. It's based on a book that I don't even know if it has been published yet, but it's about 100 juvenile delinquents who get basically kicked out of
from the future or a different planet.
From the
or both?
future. Like I don't know, hundreds of years in the future, maybe 40 years in the future. No,
Okay.
40 years in the future. Is
But they
almost
get sent. They get sent back to Earth, which is, or at least was, uninhabitable when they
destroyed
left.
by nuclear war, I believe.
Ooh.
So they so all these adults send
I like
these,
ooh at that, as if I like love nuclear war.
all these adults send these 100 juvenile delinquent kids down to Earth, and they're like, hey, see if you can survive. And it's sort of like Lord of the Flies. He also compared it to.
That's cool.
He also compared it to a little bit like Lost. He also compared it to, what was the other thing? I forget. It's in my Reddit. But it actually works out really well because it's a lot grittier and darker than other CW shows.
Than you might expect from the CW.
Yeah, and it's almost like a really, honest to goodness, hard sci-fi show. Henry Ian Cusick, who played
Gosh,
Desmond
what is the
in Lost.
CW doing?
They're moving. They're moving away.
They are moving. They're moving, and they're pushing in that direction. But it also is just like, I mean, just yesterday we were talking about how Star-Crossed is basically just a romance with some alien elements to it.
It is. That's
And
the
then-
softest of their shows, I think.
Well, and
The new
then
ones.
there's still Rain. Neither one of us has watched Rain yet,
Rain doesn't look very good.
but it's this oddball,
That one is weird.
like Odd Man Out sort of period prequel
Hey,
piece thing.
I don't care as long as they don't have another high school show. It's a carbon copy of the
All
other
right.
one.
That's true.
But this one, like,
But this one sounds good. This
kids
one sounds
die.
fun. Will it be the Arrow of this year? For the CW?
Well, they're clearly going for like a Hunger Games aspect. So it's like kind of the new young adult, which is a little more violent because kids these days, they're totally desensitized. So I think it's going for that angle, and it sounds good. And the producers claim that the CW gives them full license to get dirty, to
Ooh.
kill people, bloody, and keep it sci-fi.
All right.
So that's a pleasant surprise. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. That's everything we saw today.
That's everything we saw today. Did you see any good costumes?
You know what my favorite costume today was? It was simple, but it was so unique. It was Laura Prepon's character from Orange is the New Black.
And that had like less than a week to put together, or about a week to put together.
But yeah, I was just so impressed, and I think she was really flattered that I recognized it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've only seen a few episodes so far, only halfway through the season, but yeah, I just thought that was really cool that someone was ballsy enough to be like, yeah, I don't care that nobody's gonna know what it is.
Yeah.
She was really into it.
Yeah.
So she had like the prison khakis on and boots and the glasses and dark hair.
That's all you need.
It was great. That
It's
was
a
one of my
nondescript
favorite.
costume, but
It is, but I don't know. I appreciated it from the like fan of a TV show standpoint. It was good.
absolutely. You know what I think, Comic-Con attendees? I think you really dropped the ball on doing a Orphan Black cosplay, where you get like
That's
5 or
true.
6 of your friends together and you each play one of the clones.
That is a really good point.
I
Because
don't know why you didn't do that.
the 5 or 6 person costume that I saw today is like a year old. It was like season 2 Walking Dead. It was like pregnant Lori, Shane, Daryl with his crossbow, Glenn, and Rick Grimes. But it was like,
Well, that
it
could
was-
have been early season 3.
Could have been early season 3. I don't know. It felt very, pregnant Lori and no, Shane. Shane wasn't season 3, was he?
Oh,
Yeah.
never mind. Yeah.
Did Shane and pregnant Lori overlap? I mean, they might have just created their own
Well,
Comic-Con.
he got her pregnant, right? Isn't that what we all think?
Overlap.
Boom, boom.
But anyway,
But she
yeah.
was very pregnant, Lori. I saw the picture. I guess
Yeah,
this
that's
may be a Walking Dead greatest hits that you saw.
Sure.
But I'm
sure.
glad that someone was Shane.
Yeah.
I miss Shane.
Yeah. Lots more. Game of Thrones panel was today, so there were lots more Dannys with very different interpretations of Dany and her dragon, certainly. I'm trying to think what else I saw. I saw a Zach Galifianakis from the first Hangover, with like the baby and the sling and everything.
Yeah.
I
I didn't see too much today. I was in press rooms, and then I was at the Fox Sports Grill.
I also saw like a full size Chewbacca, and that's just always a good one.
It's classic.
it was highlighted by the fact that when I saw him, he was crossing the street with hundreds of other normal height people, and just Chewbacca head in the crosswalk, just so that was good. It's just it's the classic Comic-Con sight. You gotta love that.
You know what I miss and I haven't seen, I always see every year, but I want to start a Tumblr about it, but I want to do superheroes eating fast food.
Yeah.
Like Superman eating a hot dog.
Well, I also like it when you see...
Aquaman eating nachos. The image is so hilarious to me.
I think I took a photo today of Superman talking to Daenerys. And I also, in similar fashion...
Were they eating hot dogs?
They were not eating hot dogs.
Oh.
But I like when just, things from totally disparate, different properties, are hanging out together, It's just, they didn't do any sort of group or couple costume or anything. They just went as stuff they wanted to go as. But then they hang out together the whole time, which is very, why is Danny talking to Spider-Man or whatever?
Speaking of crossovers, real quickly, we didn't pick up on this news when it came out on Thursday, and I just posted it today. But the Family Guy and Simpsons are doing a crossover.
Crazy.
I don't know what to think about that. I put a poll up. Oh, can we bring up the
we could,
poll?
Sure. Hold on.
I'll try and stall for time here.
Yeah.
So
tell us the premise of this crossover.
What the deal is it's going to be a Family Guy episode, and Peter takes his family road tripping, and they end up in Springfield, where they somehow become fast friends with the Simpsons family. And I know it's something that people have been dying for years, and they've always had this friendly rivalry, and they've taken pot shots at each other. But in this episode, all the Simpsons voice actors are going to do their characters, and it just seems kind of weird because they're both. The Simpsons has been hanging on for a long time, and I don't know if this is more a publicity stunt or if it's actually a good idea. But what does the poll say?
The poll is super close. The choices being, heck yeah, these two comedies colliding is long overdue. That's choice number 1. Choice number 2 is this is a rivalry and should not happen. Shark jump. And choice number 3 is this is just a publicity stunt for 2 shows past their prime, nothing to see here.
Wow.
The vote is pretty evenly split between this should totally happen and this is a publicity stunt.
Wow, that is really close.
A grand total of 42 people have voted for this as a rivalry and shouldn't happen. So people
compared to 480 for the others.
Yeah. So at the very least, people are either into it or just accepting of the publicity stunt.
Yeah.
Not too many folks morally opposed.
Yeah, interesting. Well, maybe we'll see Peter Griffin and Homer.
Oh, you know what, though? But speaking of crossovers, and this is one that we haven't written about on the site yet, but I think that is interesting at the very least. Another one that was announced today is that Star Wars and Phineas and Ferb are going to do some sort of crossover. Phineas and Ferb is going to do a Star Wars episode where Darth meets Doofenshmirtz, or whatever the doctor's name is on Phineas and Ferb. So.
This is your George Lucas. This is what you did. You sell that thing.
Welcome to Disney.
There it goes, all over the place. Oh man, our kids are gonna be embarrassed that we were Star Wars fans. They're like, what? I saw Star Wars in Walgreens the other day, promoting cough drops, something like that. Darth Vader promoting cough drops. That'd be pretty good. Anyways, tomorrow, what's on tap? I am going to Revolution. I'm going to the Revolution press room where I fully expect Tracy Spiridakos to give me some shit for writing shit about her shit program.
Don't punch her. It's not appropriate in real life.
I won't punch her. I actually like Tracy Spiridakos. She's really nice. But
similarly,
I don't know what to expect. I'm a little scared.
I really would like to. I would like you to bring up the possible more than bromance relationship between
Miles and Monroe.
Yeah.
If I get
maybe you should stop short of chanting kiss, kiss, kiss.
Oh gosh.
But I don't know. I would love to hear them address that.
I would ask David Lyons about that.
Yeah. You should. If you have the chance to ask anybody about that, please ask. I would really like to hear.
I have to find the correct line of questioning.
Sure.
To get there.
Sure.
And then I'm also doing a Person of Interest, which I'm super stoked about.
Yeah, the press room is tomorrow, right? So
I expect to be in jail shortly after the press room once Sarah Shahi steps in. Shaw.
Sarah Shahi.
Yeah. and Amy Acker ain't no chopped liver either.
Neither is James Caviezel.
Yeah.
But he might shoot you in the leg.
He might shoot me in the leg, yeah. What do you see?
I am going to the press rooms in the morning for the ABC fairy tale slate.
Once Upon a Time and Once Upon a Time in Wonderland.
Once Upon a Time, and then in parentheses, in Wonderland. Yes, I'm going to go to the press rooms for both of those shows, so we'll see how that goes.
Is there a pilot floating around for Once Upon a Time in Wonderland yet?
I think there might be, but now that you say that, I'm not actually sure.
Maybe they'll show it tomorrow.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So I should either look and see if I can see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe they will show it tomorrow. So I'll be at the press rooms for both of those. There's lots of vampire stuff happening tomorrow. The panels and press rooms for the originals and the Vampire Diaries are both taking place tomorrow.
And True Blood?
And True Blood, yeah. I don't know that we're going to make True Blood, though, unfortunately. I don't have a pass for that one. So
well, it's a silly show.
It is a silly show. This season has been... Have you watched any of this season?
I tried. I didn't.
I mean, it is just as crazy, but I think I'm having more fun with it this season than I was last season. If for no other reason that they've had some really good nods to the very beginning of the show. They just, I don't know, they seem a little more self-aware. So there's still plenty of ridiculous stuff, or lots of ridiculous stuff, but yeah, I don't know.
I feel like I'm still watching it. Like circus music going on in the background.
Like the Calliope stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's been really some fun stuff. And actually, Lily Sparks, who writes about True Blood for the site, she always has hated, or for a long time hated Andy Belfler, and I mean, he's good this season. Like, he's really entertaining as this dad to 4 fairy children. I don't know. There have been some great moments this season. It's still totally ridiculous, but there have been some really good moments this season. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get into that one tomorrow. But gosh, there's Arrow is also tomorrow. And the Tomorrow People.
The Amell brothers back to back.
Correct.
Panel.
So yeah, it's another busy day.
Another busy day. Which we have to get to sleep to get ready for. Which means we're calling this podcast. Thank you all for listening. And
yay, we did it. We're still alive after 2 days.
Yeah, just 2 more.
Just 2 more. We're only halfway through.
We're a little over. We'll count Wednesday as a day.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys have questions, comments, leave them in the comments.
Leave them in the comments. Jen will search them.
We'll
do our best to answer questions.
We'll meet you here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Day 3.
Day 3. We'll meet you here tomorrow.
Rinse and repeat. We'll be back. Well, thank you guys for listening. We will bring you all the news and more.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Good night.
Talk to you later.
Sleep tight.
Bye.
Don't let the nanites bite. Good night.